Hello, this is Jay and welcome back to Jay Learning Videos. Today, my topic will be the rivers of the USA. So, the USA has many major rivers. I'll just be doing the major ones today. So we'll start with one that you probably already know, the Mississippi River. So, this Mississippi River starts in Lake Itasca in Minnesota. Then it flows through Minnesota and forms a natural border of Minnesota, natural border of Iowa, natural border of Missouri, natural border of Arkansas, natural border of Louisiana, and then it flows through Louisiana and into the Gulf of Mexico. So the Mississippi River has many tributaries, and two of the major tributaries are the Missouri and the Ohio. So let's talk about the Missouri first. The Missouri is the largest river in the USA, and it starts in Brazos Spring in Montana. Then it flows through Montana and into North Dakota, South Dakota, forms a natural border of Nebraska, a slight natural border of Missouri, then flows through Missouri and joins the Mississippi around St. Louis, which is a well-known city. So the Missouri also has two tributaries, which are basically rivers that join the Missouri. So let's learn about those. They are the Yellowstone and the Platte. The Yellowstone starts in the Absaroka Range in the Rockies, and you can see that these brown mountains are the Rockies. So it flows slightly through Wyoming and then through Montana and joins the Missouri just at the border of Montana and North Dakota. Next, we have the Platte. So the Platte is formed when the North Platte and the South Platte rivers join together to form the Platte. The Platte flows through Nebraska and then joins the Missouri at the border between Nebraska and Iowa. Now let's learn about the Mississippi's other major tributary, the Ohio. So the Ohio is formed in Pennsylvania when the Allegheny and Monongahela rivers join together. It flows through Pennsylvania just at the border of New York and then flows back down to form a natural border of Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. Then it joins the Mississippi right about here. The Ohio also has two major tributaries, the Wabash and the Tennessee. The Wabash is formed of the melting of an ice sheet, which is the Laurentide ice sheet in Ohio. Then it flows slightly through Ohio and then enters Indiana. The Wabash River is the state river of Indiana. It flows through Indiana and then forms a natural border of Indiana and Illinois, and then joins Ohio, where the Indiana, Illinois, and Kentucky states meet. Then the Tennessee. the Tennessee is formed when the Holston and the French Brood rivers join together. Now the Tennessee flows through Virginia, and then Tennessee, and then it goes right over here, goes into Alabama, slightly in Mississippi, back into Tennessee, Kentucky, and then joins the Ohio River at the border between Illinois and Kentucky. Next, we'll look at two other tributaries of the Mississippi, which are the Arkansas and the Red. The Arkansas starts at the Sawash Range of the Rockies in Colorado, then flows through Colorado, then Kansas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, and it joins the Mississippi at the border between Arkansas and Mississippi. And the funny thing about that is the Arkansas River and Mississippi River join, where the Arkansas State and Mississippi State join. So then there's the Red River. The Red River is formed by the Atchafalaya River in New Mexico. It flows slightly through New Mexico and then through Texas, forms a natural border between Oklahoma and Texas, goes slightly in Arkansas, and then into Louisiana, and it joins Louisiana. It joins the Mississippi in Louisiana. So that's the Mississippi and all of its tributaries, all of its major tributaries, the Ohio, Missouri, Wabash, Tennessee, Platte, Yellowstone, Arkansas, and Red. So next, let's see a few other major rivers. We'll start with the Columbia River over here in Washington. So the Columbia River is started in Lake Clifford in British Columbia, which is in a province in Canada. The Lake Clifford isn't actually there. It's just so that I could fit it in the paper. So it flows through Washington and then forms a natural border between Washington and Oregon, and then empties out into the Pacific Ocean. So the Columbia has one major tributary, and that major tributary, you might already know it. It is the Snake River. The Snake River is formed in Lake Wallula in Wyoming. It flows through Wyoming and then Idaho, forms a natural border between Idaho and Oregon, then slightly into Washington, and then joins the Columbia River. So that's the Columbia and the Snake. Next, we'll see the Yukon. Now, the Yukon starts in Lake Atlan in British Columbia, which is that same Canadian province. So it flows through British Columbia and then enters Alaska. And it flows through Alaska and then empties out into the Bering Sea. The Yukon is the third largest river in the USA after the Missouri, which is number 1, then the Mississippi, which is number 2. That is in length. So then we have 2 more rivers that we'll review next. So they are the Rio Grande and the Brazos, and they're 2 of the rivers in Texas, mostly in Texas. The Rio Grande is formed in the San Juan range in the Rockies. It flows slightly through Colorado, then through New Mexico, and forms a natural border between Texas and Mexico. The USA and Mexico's natural border, part of it is the Rio Grande. Then it empties out into the Gulf of Mexico. Next we have the Brazos River. So the Brazos River is also a big river in Texas. It is formed in Blackwater Draw in New Mexico. It goes slightly through New Mexico and then enters Texas, and it flows through Texas and goes into the Gulf of Mexico. So now let's see one other river that you might already know, and it's home to the Grand Canyon. Can you guess what it is? If you said Colorado River, then you're correct. The Colorado River starts in Lake La Poudre Pass in Colorado. Then it flows through Colorado, and then Utah, and then Arizona, forms a natural border of Arizona. Then it goes slightly through Mexico, and then empties out in the Gulf of California. Let's see the Sacramento River. The Sacramento River is formed in Mount Shasta in the Klamath Mountains, which you can see over here. These are the Klamath Mountains. So it flows through California, part of California, and then empties out in the San Francisco Bay. So let's see a few other rivers, but now on the east. We'll look at the Chattahoochee River first. The Chattahoochee River is a very long name. It's spelled C-H-A-T-T-A-H-O-O-C-H-E-E. Chattahoochee. That's formed in Jack's Gap in the Appalachian Mountains, which you can see all of these mountains are the Appalachians. So it started in Georgia, then it forms a natural border between Georgia and Alabama, then flows into the panhandle of Florida and empties out in the Gulf of Mexico. So next is the Potomac River. So the Potomac River is formed in Fairfax Stone in West Virginia. It forms a natural border of Maryland, and Washington, D.C. is on this river, and then it empties out into Chesapeake Bay, which is this bay over here. Next, there's the Connecticut River. It's formed in Lake Fort, Connecticut in New Hampshire, then flows through a tiny bit of New Hampshire, forms a natural border of New Hampshire and Vermont, flows through Massachusetts and then Connecticut, and then empties out in Long Island Sound. So then we have the Hudson River. The Hudson River is formed here in Lake Chair of the Clouds in the Adirondack Mountains over here. It flows through New York, slightly forms the border of New York and New Jersey, and then empties out over here. So those are the major rivers of the USA. But now we're going to look at an easy way to remember these because they can be pretty hard to remember. So most of the rivers are in here, not all of them. This is a way to remember most of them. And so here it is. It says short saying. Yesterday, Sam's cucumber sandwich collapsed on a plate. A white octopus took the cucumber sandwich. So most of those words have a river. Yesterday, that is the Yellowstone River. Sam's, that is the Snake River. Cucumber, that's the Columbia River. Sandwich, that's the Sacramento River. Collapsed, Colorado. On doesn't have a river for it. A has a river, the Arkansas River. Plate, which is the Platte River. Then A doesn't have a river for it. White is Wabash. Octopus, Ohio. Took, Tennessee. The doesn't have a river. Cucumber, Chattahoochee. And sandwich, Savannah. So Yellowstone, Snake, Columbia, Sacramento, Colorado on Arkansas Platte. A Wabash, Ohio, Tennessee, the Chattahoochee, Savannah is actually what yesterday Sam's cucumber sandwich collapsed on a plate. A white octopus took the cucumber sandwich means. So that is an easy thing to remember most of the rivers of the USA. Now we're going to see facts. So these are our facts. Our first fact is about the Mississippi River. So the Mississippi River over here, we reviewed some of its tributaries, but actually it has 250 tributaries about. That's the largest amount of tributaries in the USA. And that's including all of the ones that we reviewed. Our second fact is about a river that we didn't review. So it is, because it's not a major river. So it is the New River in West Virginia, and you can see here in green is the New River. All of the fact rivers are in green. It is the second oldest river in the world. The oldest river in the world is the Nile River in Africa. So our third is that the Mississippi and Missouri River system, so all of its tributaries and everything, is the second largest river system in It is the largest river system in North America. The largest in the world is the Amazon River system in South America. Our fourth fact is that every river in the USA that is longer than 692 miles long is dammed. The longest river that's undammed is the Yellowstone River over here, you can see, which is 692 miles long. So that's the largest undammed river in the USA. Fourth is that the USA is the fourth rank for most rivers in the world at 250,000 rivers. The top three are Russia, China, and Canada. So our fifth fact is there are approximately 8,100 or 8,100 dams in the USA. The depth of the USA rivers ranges from the Platte River, you can see over here, this is the Platte River, at about 6 inches deep, to the Hudson River, you can see over here in New York is the Hudson River, which is 220 feet deep at some points. So our fourth is the shortest river in the world, which is here, the Roe River, in Montana, is in the USA. And our last fact is Many people think that all of the rivers are from north to south, like the Mississippi River starts at the north and at the south, or the Ohio River, which is more of a southwest going, but it's still going south. The Rio Grande River and the Colorado River are some other examples. But that's not true. There are many rivers in the USA and in the world that go from south to north. Some examples in the USA are the St. Johns River in Florida over here. It starts here and then it ends here. Or the Willamette River in Oregon, which is a tributary of the Columbia River, starts here and here, going up north. Or the Fox River in Wisconsin, which is a bit more smaller. It starts here and then it ends there. The Nile River in Africa is also going from south to north. It's going up north. So those are all of our facts for today's video and all of the rivers. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you liked it. If you like it, give it a like and subscribe. Make sure to hit the notification bell. Share this with your friends, and bye!